Welcome back. It's Melanie, your She Shed Scrapper. So today I am back with a 2-page layout using a bunch of stuff from my stash, but this paper here is actually a newer one. This is from the Say Cheese Epic collection, which is a Disney collection, but when I saw the cut aparts here, I knew that I needed it for a trip we took to Canada last summer. So we live pretty close to Canada, and my aunt and uncle have a cabin, and so I have a lot of pictures of Lake Superior, kind of outdoors photos, and so I decided to use the cut aparts for those photos and kind of go with the buffalo plaid theme. I went into my stash and found a bunch of buffalo plaid. I had a Christmas collection that had a couple of papers in it that I could use. And then I also found a kit from Not Just for Boys Kit Club that I had bought quite a while ago that had a perfect sticker sheet, and I had some papers left over. So initially I thought I would do just an entire kind of red and black themed layout, but I wanted, I guess, something else with it. I had pulled aside some black and white papers as well when I was going through my stash, just to give me options. But I also have, if you've been following, I usually kind of document the same event multiple times because I have 3 different albums that I scrapbook for. So I have mine and then my 2 boys. So there will be some maybe duplicate photos and whatnot, but I figured these papers here would be perfect. I also found one from an old One Canoe 2 collection that was like slivers of tree. You'll see that come in later on. I fussy cut those and used those as embellishments, and I thought that just worked out perfectly. So I am going to use that buffalo plaid for the majority of the layout, but then I decided to use that wood grain on the outside as well. I liked the backside of this paper. It was off-white, and I'm like being really stingy on my French vanilla cardstock, and figured, you know what, if I didn't use any of the off-white papers, then I could get away with using my white cardstock. So that is what I chose to do. So I just cut that wood grain paper, it looks like a couple inches, and then with the buffalo plaid, I just trimmed a little bit off. I wanted a little bit of white to show on the top and the bottom, but I needed it wide enough for kind of a base for all of my photos. I had them laid out in the beginning where it's kind of going to be a grid design on each side, and if I remember correctly, it kind of mirrors each other. So I did, like I said, trim that down just a little bit, and then I, again, wanted to make sure that I had kind of a flush cut, and so I let it overhang, and then I just trimmed it off after I kind of put it down on the page there. So once that's done, now I get to kind of play around with the photos, and I don't know, I really like how this one came about. And I think it's funny that I use kind of a Disney paper, I guess, to kind of be maybe the forefront of my embellishing or my title. I was going to use the Great Outdoors, but I don't really have green anywhere else, and so I decided to switch it and stick with the red there. And I like the way that that looks. Maybe on one of the boys, I'll use the Great Outdoors kind of as my title, and maybe I'll go with a different theme then using that. I then had these little square cut aparts. And once I kind of had the layout set out, I wasn't really sure how to embellish. So I saw these little square cut aparts and really liked how they looked. And so I figured, maybe I'll stack them kind of over top of my layout and add that kind of as an embellishment on the left-hand side. And that really just kind of left one larger space to embellish on the right-hand side. So again, I went through my stash. I, again, have different bits and pieces of, it's an Echo Park collection. the sticker sheet. I have chipboard. It was part of the frames, and then ephemera as well. And I don't remember. I might have bought the ephemera and the chipboard from Tuesday Morning, but I know that the sticker sheet came with that Not Just for Boys Kit Club collection or kit. So I did decide to pop up my Canada on foam tape to kind of give this layout a little bit of dimension. I did back the photos in white and even did that other cut apart in white. And I forgot, I did this, I cut it out because it just takes a while and it's just monotonous, but I did matte the Canada with red just to get, like, help it stand out a little bit more as well. And then I believe I did pop those little squares up on foam tape as well. So once I get that done, now I really get to kind of embellish. And you can kind of see I had a good idea of where I would embellish. Not too many places with all of the photos on the layout that I felt like really needed embellishment clusters. And so a couple of them are a bit smaller, but then I do kind of have a larger one on that bottom right of page 2. So this is that paper from One Canoe 2, and I can't even remember what collection it's from, but it almost reminds me of like a Christmas collection, and I know that it's not. It might be Hazelwood, if I remember correctly, but I'm glad that I kept it because it really worked kind of for just a larger embellishment on this layout. So I did add one to the far right cluster. There's a little chipboard piece, a journaling kind of card there, and then I added that, the wood. And so then I decided to kind of keep that and add that to the top as well. Again, it just makes for a good base for a cluster. That one I will end up having to, well, I thought I was going to trim it off. I don't think I actually did because it's at the top. And I feel like in the albums that I use, I would be okay leaving that. And I don't think it would even stick up off the actual album. It'll be out of the page protector, but I don't think the album. So I think I actually might leave that overlap at the top. So I did cut just a smaller piece of the wood and add that to the top cluster there. And then I did add one to the bottom underneath one of those squares at the bottom as well. So at the top there I have a saying and then a cloud, and then I found a little bear sticker. Again, in my recent kind of Echo Park collection layout I did using the Teen Spirit, I mentioned that Echo Park ephemera has just so many sayings in it that I do struggle because I want layering pieces. One saying per cluster is fine, but then I need those layering pieces, and I don't feel like there's enough in those packages. So lucky enough for me, I had the sticker sheet, and there were enough that I could use to layer, I guess, while keeping, I guess, kind of a saying on each of them. So you can see I'm just still playing around. I did decide to add a sticker, replace, I guess, the ephemera at the top with the Great Outdoors and then a moose. I just liked how it was red, and then I was able to move that piece of ephemera with a tree trunk over top of some of the photos. I didn't feel like it was too large where I was kind of impeding on any of the photos. But I did add that. I add a hiking boot to the wood on the bottom left under that square there. And then I'm just going to kind of tape down the whole kind of long cluster on the far right. I did have to pop that bear up because that is over top of chipboard, and the bear's chipboard as well, so it was a little bit thicker, so I had to pop the bear up on some foam tape. I did find a piece of ephemera that said vacation vibes, and so I decided to add that under the word Canada at the top, and I thought that was kind of cute. Canada vacation vibe, or vacation time. So did add that, and then went in and found some stars to kind of just finish off the clusters. I like to have groups of 3. I guess kind of if there are smaller clusters, so that middle cluster and then the bottom left. I think I'm looking for a star for the bottom left cluster there. Plus I like to have like embellishments in each of the clusters just to kind of bring them all together. So now just kind of trying to go through my stash and find stars. These Bella Boulevard stars, or puffy shapes I guess I should say, have been a lifesaver. I have black, I have red, a blue sheet, there's heart, stars, arrows, just really great. So I will probably link those down below if you are interested, and see if I can find any of this Echo Park collection. But I hope you guys enjoyed this layout, and we will see you next time. Bye guys.